My introduction to brain injury happened in 2008. I met a phenomenal young lady named Patty Foster, and she shared her story about traumatic brain injury. And with that story, my heart was pulled, and God had already prepared me to have that be my passion for the rest of my life. I'm Dina Adams, the president of Hope After Brain Injury, and I'm here to tell you that brain injury, any survivor, they are this world's best kept secrets. You know, people would say, well, I have brain injury, I have disability. And I'm going to say, no, you don't have a disability. The truth about it is you're more able than any of us normal people in this world. And why is that? It's because you learned to live, and then you had the brain injury, and you had to learn to live again. And I so admire that. I'm so thankful for every survivor that I've ever come in contact with. Patty is amazing, and so many others that you'll hear on this series of Hobby Talks, and you will be encouraged. What do I want other people to know about brain injury? I want them to know that it is not a death sentence. It is a very difficult road that nobody wants to be on. But you're not alone. That's what I want you to know. You are not alone. And for me, the Lord Jesus Christ is the constant companion. And He's the one that directs us. You know, there's this wonderful scripture. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but hope realized is a tree of life. And so that's our mission with Hope After Brain Injury, is to be that tree of life for people. And I thank you for being a part of it. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. And you are welcome to give us a call anytime.
My name is Patty Foster.
No.
Okay, Patty Foster. That's PattiFoster.com. All right, so my story happened June 18, 2002. I'd have been in radio all of my life, a radio personality down South Texas, Louisiana, up north Michigan, Indiana. I had just moved back down to Texas within the year. On our way to our last Bible study meeting, there were 4 of us in a Tahoe on our way to meet the other ladies. We had completely stopped at a red light intersection. All lanes of traffic were full, 6:45 in the evening. I had just taken off my seatbelt to turn and check on some flowers. I was sitting behind the driver. As I turned, bam, the impact happened. A semi pulling a trailer full of cars barreling down the highway, 70 miles per hour, plowed into our Tahoe. And remember the way I'm turning? It ejected me like a missile out of the back opposite side of the Tahoe. You know where the fake window is in the Tahoe that's not designed to be opened? Well, my head rather hard or rather stiff, as my mom would say when I was growing up, hard-headed, penetrated that first. They're on the right side. In fact, if you were to come in closely, you could see this dark area. It's actually crepe myrtle that's still inside of me. In fact, inside of my right ear is where the scar starts, and then it's around the cheek, and you can see the extra skin on my right eye, and then some vague scars here. It was very much like you had stuck your fingers in and ripped back all of my flesh to the back of my head. And eyewitnesses said that when the impact happened, it ejected my body out. But I went up into the air, not across or gravity pulling me down, but up. And they said, Patty, it was very much like the hands of God had suspended you in the air above the very SUV you had just been ejected out of. When the SUV had spun from beneath me, then my body went down to the ground and skidded some 3 stories across the highway and stopped in a lane of traffic. That's where my eyeball was hanging out of its orifice, all of that orifice and the part of my right side of my face crushed. fractures all over from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. I'd lost well over 60% of my blood, no pulse to be found. So EMS pulled a white sheet over me, assuming I was dead. And from there, the life of severe traumatic brain injury of a dead person on the highway started.
Wow. What would you like to tell other people? What do they need to know about brain injury?
To know about brain injury, please remember, always remember, regardless of the situation you're in, regardless of the adversity that you meet, deal with, acknowledge that in brain injury, for the most part acquired, traumatic, either way, remember, small things make a huge difference. In other words, nonverbal communication is number one. It basically makes up 93% of communication, whereas verbal makes up only 7% of communication. So the question came to me probably a couple of years after I began waking from the coma, simply this: what does your life say when your mouth is not moving? Either it draws people toward you or repels them away. Small things make a huge difference.
What gives you hope after brain injury, Patty?
Hope is given to me through my faith, personal connection, relationship that I have with God through Jesus. Because when I tasted death, when I was in that coma for 6 weeks, when I actually died, I went to heaven. God touched me. He talked to me. He told me, and he touched me right there on my left elbow. He said, "Not yet, Patty. It's not your time." And from there, he led me back. He is my reason because of that personal connection. Because I tasted truly, and I did find out that the Lord is good, way beyond those words.
Bo Lewis, hi, talking all the time,
Very good.
trying
Yeah,
real good.
good.
And then looking at somebody, I
Yeah,
don't know what to do, but I am trying.
do it. Go ahead. What happened to that gave you a brain injury?
Everybody that I got when I was out, and I was out.
Yeah.
Didn't make it
Okay.
all the way around, trying to do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get better.
You're doing great.
What he tried. I'm trying to do what I should do.
Good. What gives you hope, Bo?
Hope I can do things that I couldn't do.
Good.
I'm going to get it better.
Awesome.
And going to do what I want to.
Good.
But
Good.
right now, it's sure trying.
You're doing great, Bo. You're doing great.
Hi, this is Brenda. I'm the caregiver for my husband, Robert. He had a bicycle accident 4.5 years ago, had TBI and a brainstem stroke. They thought he would never live, much less be as well as he is today. But he's done remarkably well. His mind is good, and we need him to walk. He needs balance so he can walk. And what I wish I had known before all this happened, that you should appreciate every day, but until something like this happens, you don't realize how important that is. And I wish I had known what I know now without going through all this, because I know ways I can help people that I could have helped people before that I didn't, and I just didn't know. And what gives me hope, my faith, number one, and this support group, because you see what other people go through, you know you're not alone. You see people that are worse shape than you are by a long ways, and that gives you hope and faith for the future when you see what other people are going through and what they've been able to accomplish.
Tell us your name.
Connie Bergera.
Hi, Connie. Tell us your story.
On December 28, 2012, I had a brain aneurysm on the left side of my head, which had ruptured, which blocked the blood to my brain but spread around my skull. At that point, I passed out and ended up in a hospital in Fort Worth. On December 31st, I had a neurosurgeon doctor do my surgery, where he did a left frontal temporal and took out part of my craniotomy, and he clipped the aneurysm.
Oh, wow.
Once it was clipped, the bleeding would stop, which he said would be the best way to help me the most and hopefully help me survive, which I did, thank God.
What do you want other people to know about brain injury?
Brain aneurysm can affect either side of your brain. In my case, it affected the left side of my thinking. The left area deals more with some language and helps to analyze information given to the brain. Due to my injury there, I realized that those parts of my brain were not working completely. So I wasn't able to solve complex problems or do a complex activity. People with left hemisphere injuries tend to be more depressed, have more organizational problems, and have problems using language.
What gives us hope? What gives you hope after brain injury?
The fact that I survived encourages me and helps me to be positive and not give up. Even though I do not have a lot of patience, which I hadn't before this happened to me, I try to always know that God is with me, and He will carry me when I feel depressed, and gives me courage to continue knowing that many people do not survive. And if they do, they could be much more affected physically and emotionally than me. Thanks to the wonderful therapists, I have learned not to be anxious, impatient, or get frustrated. My most important goal is to always remember how to help myself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Fred Lewis. I was struck down by an acquired brain aneurysm in my frontal left lobe in 2008. Okay. It was a sudden accident. Okay, if you want to say accident, but I was quitting smoking and taking Chantix. Okay, and I was on blood pressure medication when the attack hit me. Okay, I went to UT Southwestern, Zale Lipshe, okay, had brain surgery the following day, okay, and Dr. Babu, okay, was my surgeon, okay, and he did a marvelous job, okay. He, put me all back together, or almost all together. But, and, you know, the road back from such a accident can be long and arduous. Because, I mean, when I woke up after the surgery, I was like a 4-year-old, okay? Have to learn everything over again, you know, and excuse my French, but shit, shine, shower, and shave, okay? But you have to learn all these things over again, and then the daily uses, okay, of laundry, making the bed, you know, how to get dressed, you know, these things that you take ingrained that you know by heart, you have to learn all over again, okay? And much less your job skills, you know, because if you're not using them, they're not important to you, you know. And you know, once you do start using them, then they mean something to you. And you know, it's just hard to have to relearn how to live your life again well, my accident happened at 47, okay? I'm now 55, fixing to be 56. And, you know, it's almost been 10 years since my accident, and I still feel like I'm 85, 80, 90% of the person that I used to be.
What do you wish you would have known?
That's a wild question, because you never perceive this thing happening to you. I mean, you know, and it could be as bad as a stroke, okay, or other disease, okay, that, you know, is a very hard road to come back to, you know. And I know several stroke victims that you would never know anything happened to them, you know.
What gives you hope, Fred?
Faith in God, faith in the group, okay? Because once I got introduced to the group, I knew that I wasn't alone. And that alone gives me hope, you know, because I hear so many stories, and I think I was that way, you know, for a short period. But you know, when you're lost, you know, you need help.
Beautiful.
Okay.
At the age of 16, I was on my way to school. Little brother's in the car with me. Had our musical instruments in the back. We both played trombone. Guy ran a stop sign and dodged a 3/4 ton truck, and I was probably scooting down the road fairly quickly, 16-year-old and everything.
Oh.
And we were driving a Chevy S10 pickup truck. We hit corner to corner, and then our beds clapped together. I broke out my window with my head, and then I crushed my steering wheel, and we went off into an 8-foot bar ditch. We hit nose first, and I crushed my steering wheel down to about like that, between my knees and my teeth. And I was in the hospital for a few months after that. It was March 8th, so the first day I got out of the hospital was Easter Sunday.
Wow.
I was in a coma for 18 days. Everything I said was in baby talk from what I've been told. I had a Glasgow coma scale score of 3.
What do other people need to know about brain injury?
Don't take the person at face value. They'll probably be all nice and normal a lot of the time. But when they're not, it's not them. It's not their fault. Something is going on in their life that they can't control, and it's causing negative side effects.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
For me, what gave me hope was my family and the fact that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Upon my 1-year reevaluation with the neurosurgeon, Ronald Young, who evacuated my hematoma and figured out that I had had a stroke, he told me point blank, Greg, you should be dead. All medical science says you should be dead or in a catatonic-like state the rest of your life. Obviously, I'm not.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope. It's the only thing that can give me hope. You know, hoping to affect change to where the people that come after me don't have to see the rejection, the fear in people's eyes.
Yeah.
For just being you the best you can be.
Best you know how.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Dimitrovich, and I had a traumatic brain injury 17 years ago. I have a story to tell. I was hit by a drunk driver while I was in a crosswalk just after lunch in Portland, Oregon. I was comatose for 2.5 months. During that period, I lived in a nursing home. And then during the time prior to my release from the hospitals, I was in 2 more hospitals, and my end stay was 6.5 months, and I was fitted with an armband that would go off if I tried to leave the hospital after it was dark. So I was like in jail. Very interesting. Anyway, upon my release from the hospitalizations, after 6.5 months, I lived in an apartment, kind of a rehab apartment, and with my mother and my boyfriend who had moved from northern Idaho, and to help me just get more situated, more acclimated. I was advised as I stayed in the hospital not to be alone for more than 2 hours time, which I thought was ridiculous. I remember having a phone call with the doctor saying, "Sir, I have a master's degree." And he said, "And now you have a traumatic brain injury." And I was just like, crack. So 2 months later, I moved back to my own house in Idaho. But while I was in Oregon, I did go to a daycare program every day, 5 days a week, physical therapy, speech therapy, cognitive therapy, so forth. Upon my release, I will say this, upon my release from my hospitalizations, I was prescribed no medication, and I really advise that not to be, or to be frowned upon. After about a year, I decided it was the best that I start taking medication, a mood stabilizer that helps my brain through the difficulties I have had where I was impacted. I was told that a mood stabilizer would always help me. I've also given something for ADHD, adult onset, and those medications do help me. But upon my release from the hospitals, I was given nothing, and it was troublesome as a result. Let's see. But trying to think what else I should say.
What has helped you? What do you wish other people would have
Thank
known?
you. One of us mentioned about my brain injury. The importance of I think that in order to, for others to think about so they might not have a brain injury, just being careful and taking care of your body, keeping fit, because you never know when it'll be taken away. Like I've said, I played soccer for 17 years. I was in really good shape then. I no longer can play, I no longer can run very well, and take care of yourself with what you got because it can be taken away, and appreciate your body. What gives me hope? I'm going to say this is kind of negative, but opportunities give me hope. Because I am so, I think, severely, in a way, limited with the amount of opportunities I'm eligible for. I do not work, I receive Social Security disability. I don't have a job right now. I do have difficulty maintaining employment. So when I'm given an opportunity, I think it's great, and I really am into that, take that fully on. I went through so much speech therapy. I sound like a drunk when I was initially awakened. And even now, when I'm tired, I will say 17 years after the injury, I still tend to slur. And that it does appear sometimes. And that was a very difficult thing to overcome. And I really think that should be further researched as much as you can help with speech therapy or can be done medications wise. I was given no medication to help me with my speech back then. I don't know if there's any now. I think that's something to be investigated.
My name is Larry Key.
Hey, Larry, tell us what happened with your brain injury.
With my brain injury, I was a passenger in a car with 2 of my friends that I worked with, and we had an accident after probably being out at night. And so I had an accident, and I had to go in the hospital for 2 months, and then I had to go to Touchstone Rehab for brain injury people. I was there for 4 or 5 months.
What do you want other people to know about brain injury?
what's important to know about brain injury is that after your brain injury, you have a small time to get back your normal things that you do. My sister told me at the hospital they had to teach me how to use a fork again to eat my food. And your memory is kind of lost, but it does come back little things at a time. So you need to know that after your brain injury, you're going to have to learn to do just the basic things again. You're going to have to learn to communicate with people correctly, because after your brain injury, my mouth got a little crazy. My mother told me. She said that she's going to, in the hospital, she's going to throw me in another room. You have no memory. I have no memory of my accident. I have no memory of the brain injury. I just barely remember going to the rehab. Rehab was great as far as them teaching you how to be a human again and how to get along as being a part of the community again.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
My hope after brain injury is being back with my family and being back to God. I believe that God kept me alive in my accident so that I could tell others about the kingdom of God, about the life of Christ. So I think that what's important to know is that I had to do is to get back with my family. I'm looking for work after my 2 college degrees, but you do have to just get your life back to normal. And it is a slow steps, and so it's something you have to think about.
Hi, my name is Linda Dietrich. My story on Halloween of 2013, I got up in the morning and I did a few things that I usually do, like go for a walk, and I had 2 daughters and some grandkids living with me, and I helped get them ready and took them to school. And then I went home for a few minutes because we were supposed to take a 2-hour trip to get one of the other grandkids. And during that 15 minutes or so that I was home, I got horribly, horribly sick. I got terribly dizzy and very nauseous. And somehow I knew I was having a stroke, and I told my daughter to call 911. I'm not sure just how I knew, because those weren't the classic signs. And the ambulance came, and it was a small town I was living in then, and so it only took a few minutes. And they got there and knocked me out, I guess. The next thing I knew, I woke up a couple of days later in a city 6 hours away, in a major hospital, and was told that I'd had a stroke and that I had a hemorrhagic stroke. There's 2 kinds of stroke: an ischemic, which is a blood clot in the brain, and a hemorrhagic, which is a bleed. The brain bleed it is more rare, and only about 13% get that. And then out of that 13%, only about 20% of that 13% have functional abilities and stuff. So I was one of the really blessed ones to be able to do that. And I'm just so glad that it didn't happen while I was driving. So
What do you want other people to know about your brain?
what I want other people to know is that no 2 strokes are alike, or no 2 brain injuries are alike. Be aware of what's happening with your own body, and be aware of what your deficits and what areas you need to work on are. And don't try to base it on what others might have or seem to cope with, because if you try to base it on what others have, you're going to have difficulties accepting your reality. Make the best of your new reality. Some people recover completely, and some people have more difficulties as time goes on. What you may find out is that you can't do the things that you could do before you had a stroke, but there's new things that will open up for you. So maybe try something that you hadn't thought about before, but now you can do, but you couldn't, maybe you could have done before, but you can't do what you used to do. So you may find new things. Keep on dreaming and keep on hoping, and learn to live with your new reality, and to embrace it, and to hold on to it, and to realize that when one door closes, another opens, and that there's always a purpose for your life, no matter what, and to keep on being the best that you can be.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
The thing that gives me the most hope after brain injury is my Heavenly Father.
without the hope that I have in Jesus, I don't know what I would do, because that is where all of my hope has come from. And the thing that I have believed through all of this is that He has a plan and a purpose for me, and that if I can't do the things that I used to do, there's still a plan and a purpose for my life now. And that's what I hold on to, and that's what I believe in, and that's what gives me hope.
My name is Mark Baumgarten. My brain aneurysm occurred April 8th, 1983, the day before my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
After that surgery, I was in the hospital for 4 weeks, and then I was released across the street, and I was in the rehab for 7 weeks after that.
Wow.
My main problem after my aneurysm was my memory, mainly short term. But with the help of all my therapists and the nurses and doctors in that hospital, I think I recovered pretty well. I still have short term memory problems. That's why I make a lot of notes.
Awesome.
But yeah, I couldn't have made it without all the doctors, nurses, and therapists. They were just the most wonderful people in my life at that time. And there's always hope.
What do you want to tell other people about brain injury? What do they need to know?
Well, if there is hope after brain injury. It's thinking positive. I try to always think positive. People always tell me I'm too happy all the time, but the way I look at it is being depressed and getting angry is just a waste of time and energy. Like I said before, best thing I can say is think positive.
Beautiful.
It's the best thing you can do.
My name is Olivia Lugo.
And tell us what happened to you.
14 years ago, in October 23rd, I fell out of the back of a moving truck. I was 20 years old, of course. Just doing something stupid, being a kid, and I got hurt pretty bad. So I had to get care flighted to St. Methodist Hospital in Fort Worth, and from there the doctors did not think that I would make it at all. I had a very slim chance, but I truly believe through faith, God, my mother, who was like very persistent. And when the doctors finally realized that, okay, I did have a chance, there was two choices for me to go get more help at Baylor or to go and just to be a vegetable at a nursing home. And my mom, she asked the nurse who had already checked 3 times to check me one more time to see if I had a reaction in my eyes. That would, give them the go ahead to get more rehab. The last time, they did get a reaction. So therefore I was moved to Baylor Hospital in Dallas, where I got more help. I don't remember anything, but a little bit, but I got more help and got moved on to PATE, and from then on just kept improving.
What do you want other people to know about brain injury?
Brain injuries, they are very different. You can have two people have the same exact accident, but different parts of the brain will be injured, because I knew somebody whenever I went to go get more help in Austin. He had the same type of fall that I did, but he was like a 30-year-old baby. He couldn't remember that he had a kid or that he was married. He was very angry, had a lot of outbursts. And so whenever I found that out, that's when I started to realize that not every head injury is the same. And, reading through textbooks on a brain injury does not mean that somebody else who has a head injury is going to be exactly like that. Because that is one thing that my mom, she tried to study and read up on. and didn't seem to realize that it's not the same. Not one head injury is the same as the other. They're all very different.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
My hope is definitely my faith, God, and knowing that I have the strength to keep pursuing my dreams. Some of my dreams may not be the kind of dreams that certain people want for me to have, but just knowing that I have the strength to keep moving forward and doing what I do gives me hope and faith.
Hi, my name is Shaquille Gibson, aka my name is Kelly with a Q. I'm 45 years young, and my first brain injury began in 1977, and next year will be my 40th anniversary for being a brain injury survivor. I am always rehabilitating, educating, and relearning every single moment, every single hour, and every single day. It is the most challenging assignment that I've ever been given. I used to think that it was a curse. Some days I think that it's a blessing, and other days I'm so unidentified and very tranquilized and very emotional about it. I find that the more mature I get in my growth, and every day that I get a chance to talk and tell about it, for every step and mountain that I try to climb over it, there's always something that is pushing me to be more honest, more faithful, and to face it even closer. I think this challenge is one of my greatest challenges, and so it makes me strong, and again, it makes me feel very weak.
What do other people need to know about brain injury?
My thing with brain injury, again, like I said, I used to think that it was just me and that it was a curse and I was all by myself because it happened to me when I was a child. So there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of segregatedness, and I always thought that it was because of the injury. But as I became an adult, a young adult, and an older adult, I'm finding that I think that this lives in everyone. And you don't have to have something excessive to happen to you in order to have a traumatic brain injury or to be diagnosed or even be aware of it. I think just simply being on the planet is an opportunity to be more internal and more concentrated as it applies to the brain because there's so many unknowns. And so whether you're being attacked every day where, like, I'm epileptic and have seizures, there's constant semi-brain injuries, and then there's more larger, you get in your car, you drive with somebody who, throws you through the windshield, other levels of brain injury. But it's all the same.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
I hope that, by attending, I've been with this group called HOPE almost 3 years now. And many days I suffer and many days I cry, and mostly my biggest pastime is praying. That's what got me through when I was a little girl, and that's what gets me through as I get to be a bigger girl. Some days the brain injury is very harsh and tough meat and potatoes to chew and swallow. Other days I have lots of hope simply because, like I said, as I get more mature in my walk with this, I see it a little bit in everybody. And I know that it's not just me and I'm not alone. And I'm happy to share. And I'm praying for all those who are hoping for bigger and better things and seeing everyone succeed in the way that they are designed to be. Not because life tells us to be or not because we think we have to be, but simply because we're special. And that's what gives us hope.
My name is Rachel Reevy. I currently work for Center for Neuroskills, and I became interested in brain injury many years ago when I began in the neurosector of healthcare.
What do you want other people to know about brain injury?
To know about brain injury, that there is hope, that you are stronger than you believe that you are at the time, that the difficulty will not last, and that you can overcome the difficult circumstances.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
The hope I see for others after brain injury are things like the support groups and the camaraderie that happens after the injury, the rehabilitation and the extensive research that the road is not finished after the accident, that it can only just begin.
Yeah, my name is Sam. When I was 12 years old, a horse threw me and stepped on my head, and I guess I was expected to be a vegetable after that, but I didn't know any better, so I just, I had a lot of people praying for me. So I got better, and where did I go from there? I spent over 30 years as a machinist. It's really kind of amazing to me as I look back, but from a day-to-day basis, you just thought about you had to get up and go to work every day. So that's what you did. And from that, you just kind of learn what you can do. Like on any job, they show you what to do, and they ask can you do it? And when I was coming up, it was learn on the job, and I have a problem with math and reading comprehension, but fortunately with machining at the time, that didn't seem to be a hazard. It didn't seem to be something that I couldn't handle. So I did that for over 30 years, and didn't realize that I had a disability. My wife and I, at 59 years of age, when I lost my job, I found out that I have some disabilities, and we were shocked. So that's just kind of, we thought that was just life, and I grew up playing sports. I rodeoed for a while. So growing up and all with a brain injury, and on my brain injury, the horse stepped on my head, and I guess I should tell you that it penetrated my skull 1.5 to 2 inches.
Wow.
And it was on the right side of my head. Fortunately, I've always been left-handed, so I kind of worked out.
What would you like other people to know about brain injury?
I'd like for you to know, I think it's largely about attitude. If you don't think you can do it, then you're right. And if you think you can do it, you may not do it just exactly like you would like to be able to do it, but if you think you can do it, I think everything boils down to attitude and effort. And if you have the right attitude and don't put out any effort to get done what you want done, then it won't get done, in my opinion. And if you have the right attitude and the right effort, I don't know, you can go, I'm 67 and didn't find out I had a handicap till I was 59, so I guess ignorance is bliss. I don't know.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
Well, after the brain injury and all, I was just hoping to learn to be able to walk again. Okay, and then after that, at this point in my life, I'm just hoping to be able to be a husband that my wife can live with, and a grandfather that can kind of teach his kids some stuff about life. So some stuff that maybe I have a perspective that others don't.
My name is Richard Claunch. I'm camera shy. I've had 5 TBIs and a stroke. The thing I want people to know about TBIs is that they are serious. Sometimes you see them, sometimes people look normal. People don't understand that if your arm's not in a cast or your leg's not in a cast, that you're okay, you're not hurt. people don't understand that from a TBI, you hurt inside your head. Your feelings are hurt. You go through a gamut of emotions. I know that with the more severe TBIs I have, I went through the rage and very tearful and rage, and then you go back and forth and back and forth. And thankfully, after a while, it goes away. However, I will say after the stroke, the filters kind of come off some, and even though you know they should be there, they're not. So you have to be extra careful. After a TBI, when you're on your road to recovery, you always have to remember that there are other people out there like you, and that most people don't want bad things to happen to you. Most people are on your side. They may not say anything, but they're not going to throw rocks at you either. Very few people understand the TBI. They don't. They're just now getting into it. You know, I had my first one probably 47 years ago when I was a baby. And I mean, people back then were like, oh, well, we'll patch it up. He'll be okay. Put some ice on it. We're good. We're good. You know, but it's way more than that. When you get older and you have a TBI, I think there's a lot of mental stuff to it. It's will people still like me? You think about stuff like that. You think about, are they looking at me? You're more conscious or more aware of that stuff. Whereas most of the time I usually don't pay attention to it.
What gives you hope after brain injury?
The thing that gives me hope, my wife and family support me. And one huge thing is my wife can say she understands, and she's a physical therapist, so she really does understand a lot of what I go through, but she's never been on this side of the fence. And the thing that gave me a lot of hope after the long journey is the fact to meet other people like me, other people that are not held back by this. They're not restricted, you know. It's like they have no bounds. I mean, they can achieve anything. And some people have that ability, and then there's other people like myself that just go along and live life, and I'm a dad and a husband. So I don't achieve great things. I left my cape at the cleaners today, but I mean, you know, you don't achieve great things all the time. But at the end, it'll be said that I was a good husband, I was a good dad, and I did what was good for my family.